President Trump is frustrated with the Supreme Court because of their internal deliberation. In other words, they aren't making a timely decision to deport people who are here illegally and are violent criminals. It's important to note that the Constitution states people who are here illegally cannot stay in the country indefinitely. The government can remove them following certain guidelines. And that right there is the hitch in the get along, so to speak. The administration believes they've met those guidelines to deport people who, as per the Constitution, cannot stay here indefinitely. But the Supreme Court seems to think it needs to take more time. For what? To do what? Apparently, one of the Chief Justices believes the government didn't give these people 14 days because the government counted a weekend as one of those 14 days, and apparently we're not supposed to do that. So President Trump is, in my opinion, understandably frustrated with that level of detail being applied to violent criminals who are in this country illegally, and he has the right, as per the Constitution, to deport them because they do not have the right, as per the Constitution, to stay here indefinitely. The following video is an explanation from one of the news stations with regards to why the Supreme Court is delaying its decision. Take a listen.
Right, Lindsay. So because of the Supreme Court's decision that President Trump vaguely referenced there and that we know was a couple weeks ago, they allowed the Trump administration to resume these Alien Enemies Act deportations. What they did not allow was what happened when those first batch of flights first took off on March 15th. Which was that these men were given no notice that they were being deported. They were simply just brought onto a plane, and they were given no ability to potentially appeal or talk to attorneys while they were on their way from being detained to being put on this plane to then being brought to that supermax prison in El Salvador. The Supreme Court mandated that the Trump administration make sure that there's a reasonable amount of time. How much time that is unclear, but that for these people to talk to attorneys and for them to potentially appeal and say, hi, I'm not a member of Tren de Aragua and I'd like to talk to a lawyer. The Trump administration says that they've been complying with the order. The ACLU says they were not. And that Thursday morning, overnight into Friday, into late Friday, they said that people around the country, immigrant advocates and other people said that their clients were being moved across the country to a base in Texas where there was a staging ground essentially for another one of these badges, and that the Trump administration was not giving these people the ability to appeal, which is how we ended up at the Supreme Court getting involved.
In my humble opinion, we're at an inflection point as a country. Let me explain. Think about it this way. This is going to be an analogy. Imagine that people who were here illegally in the country and were violent criminals showed up at your house and were required to stay in your home, meaning you had to shelter them, you had to feed them, you had to clothe them, you had to provide them with medical benefits. If they didn't work, you had to pay for them. If they engaged in illegal activity, you and your family had to bear the burden of that risk. Is that something you would do? And I would hope the answer is an emphatic no. So why is our country any different? Our country is not an it. From a Native American standpoint that I certainly understand, our country is a living being. It provides for us, it nourishes us, and we have the obligation to provide for it and nourish it, and we are not. Because we're thinking of the country as an it. We're thinking of it as something that affects us indirectly, and that's not the proper way to think about it. Our country, as per the Constitution, has enabled the federal government to deport people who are here illegally. The Constitution states that people here illegally cannot stay indefinitely. Therefore, the federal government is empowered through the Constitution to deport people who are here illegally, especially violent criminals who are here illegally. So why aren't we? What is the confusion? And the confusion seems to be on the part of the Supreme Court. I don't think the average American who voted for the administration is confused at all. These people need to leave. The Supreme Court seems to be taking too much time, hence President Trump's frustration, mine as well, with making what should be a very simple decision. Stop interpreting the Constitution and read it in its simplicity. They should be deported. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with my analogy? Does it make any sense, or do you disagree? Let me know, because we're at this point where I think we really need to start looking out for a country like we expect it to look out for us and protect us. The same should work in reverse with regards to our country. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe, because I'm going to keep sending out more material like this, and share it with somebody. If you know somebody who also is interested or frustrated, wants to engage in a conversation, by all means, share it with them. And let's start exchanging information through the comment section. And quite frankly, that is the benefit of YouTube. We're not just watching the news, but YouTube through the comment section gives us the ability to communicate unlike any other platform, which is fantastic. So let me know in the comments what you think. As always, until next time, God bless. Love you all.